To Each a Tempo, an Ace Attorney and Elite Beat Agents fanfiction. Chapter 10. The bus trundled off down the street, and Phoenix looked around at Foster Park's greenery. They were back where they had started.
So, back to the crime scene?
Police blue figures showed through the trees. The investigation carried on. Edgeworth probably had the entire force on the Beasley case, and there wasn't even an encouraging glimpse of Gumshoe's green coat.
Well, I don't think we'd be welcome at the crime scene today.
He looked across the park's grassy field to where the karaoke stage no longer sat.
And none of us wedding guests would have seen anything.
Nothing more helpful than Vanderspiegel had seen anyway. Maya put a thoughtful finger to her cheek.
Could there be other witnesses? Oh, or maybe someone with music sense. They'd notice.
She brightened to megawatt levels.
Stewart helped Miss Beasley with music power. That'd draw attention like a big neon sign if there was anyone with music sense nearby.
It didn't sound very conducive to being a secret agent, but Foxx did say it happened sometimes. Phoenix rubbed his neck and was glad to openly be a lawyer.
All right, then where to?
Maya surveyed the streets, focused like she was deciding what to pile on her plate first at a buffet.
Well, it'd work better if they could see, and if there wasn't a bunch of stuff in the way, and I think Missy said something about coordinating. Oh, look, Nick! An open-air cafe like in the movies!
5 seconds without thinking about food. That had to be a new record. The little restaurant Maya was looking at was a stylish-looking place, though. Raw iron tables and chairs, shade umbrellas with breeze-fluttering edges, and an ornately scripted sign that stirred familiar in Phoenix's memory. He opened his briefcase a crack and dug inside, tactfully ignoring that Maya was dragging him by the elbow.
Somebody at one of the tables might have witnessed what happened. And is that bread I smell? It is! Maybe they make their own big long sticks of French bread.
Yes, Phoenix had definitely seen that tree-shaped logo before. He produced the battered orchard flyer from the depths of his files and wondered if Larry had a new job of the moment yet.
Just like a real Paris cafe. And maybe people drink fancy coffee from tiny little cups and have those fluffy crescent-shaped biscuit things. I love those. What are they called?
Phoenix managed to restrain Maya from walking into the street, long enough to check for oncoming traffic. The bistro was admittedly close enough to see the murder scene from. He didn't quite grasp the details of music sense yet, but the orchard's far edge, and its alleyway, maybe that alley agents kept mentioning, looked about 600 feet away. This could be a lead. Bells jangled friendly as Maya shoved open the door, looking all around. The orchard wasn't quite as stylish on the inside, not with the layer of food-smeared plates and napkins on all its elegant furniture. Broad windows let in the heavy afternoon sun, and a sliver of the park's green scenery was visible. Maybe someone sitting outside could see Foster Park better.
Oh, wow, Nick. Just smell that fresh-baked goodness.
She twirled gleeful, robes flaring around her, long hair swinging dark. The yeast-warm scent tugged at his stomach, too. This place would be doomed for his bank account. Phoenix was sure of it.
But where is everyone? Fancy places like this usually have lots of swanky people in them.
Maya scampered to the wooden counter, leaning over it and stretching onto tiptoes to see past a row of coffee machines.
Anyone here?
Phoenix looked up from a huge potted plant, a withering specimen that could use some of Pearl's TLC.
Maya, that's the kitchen! We shouldn't!
She was already through the waist-high swinging door, grinning impishly at him.
I won't eat anything, Nick. Not until you pay for it.
How comforting.
I just want to have a look at... Is that an oven? It's huge!
She disappeared around the corner. Against every sensibility in his body, Phoenix followed. Silver appliances loomed everywhere in the kitchen, and the black tops of stoves and grills lined one wall. Chaos reigned here, too, in cluttered piles of bowls and long splatters of bright-colored sauces. Not quite what Phoenix had expected a professional kitchen to look like, but all he had to go by was a few cooking shows he watched that time he had the flu. Maya inspected the wide oven perched at her eye level.
You could make an awful lot of burgers in here.
Well, hamburgers aren't baked, they're grilled.
He at least knew that much.
Oh.
Gingerly taking the door handle, Maya pulled the oven open enough to peek inside. Heat rolled out in shimmering waves.
Well, you could make a lot of What else could go in here? Pizza? I don't know. We just stewed everything in crockpots back in Kurain.
Crockpots the size of a cement mixer, probably, if they had Maya to feed. Phoenix rubbed at a smudge of dark grease on his suit. He'd have to be more careful about brushing past surfaces.
Just don't touch anything, alright? We don't—
Shh! I hear something.
He followed Maya's gaze to the open door at the far end of the kitchen. Yes, there were voices drifting in from there.
Kid can't even keep the creme anglaise full. Fish sticks. Fine, I'll get on another batch.
A low murmur came in reply.
Half a batch then, and so Applepick can help me if that brings the food cost up another.
An instant's warning as the voice got louder. Phoenix could only watch someone fire-colored storm around the corner and crash into a surprised yelping Maya.
Kohlrabi freaking slaw salad with hosen-sauce duck.
Who knew food could sound so much like profanity?
Broil it au gratin cheese.
The cook compulsively brushed at her red-trimmed chef's whites before glaring at Phoenix and Maya.
Who are you people and what the hell are you doing in my kitchen?
Well, I'm sorry, we didn't, you tell her, Nick.
Why him? Phoenix scrambled for words under the cook's glare. If only Foxx would speak up and guide him.
Hey, we're lawyers and,
Suits? Oh yeah, you think you can just walk in anywhere you please like you own the whole rice fluffin' place, don't you, Mr. $36 an hour plus benefriggin' fits? Why, I oughta.
Phoenix's mind raced, latching onto the papers and rabble he carried. Evidence. Maybe if he showed her something.
what I mean is—
He pulled the sloppy folded orchard flyer from his pocket.
we heard about your restaurant,
Phoenix held it out like a roast trimming offered to a frothing wildcat.
and we just, wanted to see what it was like.
She snatched the sheet and glared at it, green eyes tracking over the lacy text and widening slightly.
Huh.
She glared at Phoenix, milder than before, and gave the paper back.
Nice that somebody has one of these. I don't know what I'm paying that meathead flyer boy for.
We're really sorry. It just smelled so good in here.
The cook straightened, eyeing Maya. Flattery, it seemed, soothed the savage beast.
It better smell good after all the orders we fired today.
She suddenly held out a square hand to Phoenix.
Cherry LaFlamme, owner and head chef. You are?
My name's Phoenix Wright, and this is my assistant, Maya Fey.
He winced. Cherry had a very commanding grip.
We're investigating the case. Would it be alright if we—
Just stay out of the way and don't touch anything. Last thing I need is somebody frittering around in here.
With a nod to Maya, what, Cherry didn't break other women's knuckles? She stalked off, gathering metal bowls and hissing to herself. Maya crept closer to Phoenix's side.
Wow, I thought she was going to cook us for dinner.
He wouldn't put it past Cherry. But if she oversaw this restaurant and might have witnessed something... Watching the cook flick her ragged red braids and pour cream into a bowl, Phoenix scratched together a handful of courage and approached.
Look, Miss LaFlamme.
Don't call me Ms.
She whisked the cream mixture harder, like it was to blame.
Sounds old.
Tough to say how old she actually was, with all those glower lines.
Sorry, Cherry, did you see anything unusual yesterday?
Look, I don't have time to cake flip and chat right now, so poke around somewhere else, will ya?
She was definitely not in the mood to cooperate. Why did Phoenix always get the difficult ones? Stifling most of a sigh, he motioned to Maya and they turned away.
If you're that bored, why don't you bug my apprentice? Make sure he's not running around like a headless chicken. That'd be great.
Maybe the apprentice would be more helpful, or at least less likely to serve the two of them up with gravy. Phoenix nodded and headed for the back of the kitchen. Cherry had appeared out of what seemed like a storage nook. Shelves full of empty plastic tubs and bottles lined the walls, above rows of huge cooking pots. Nothing interesting, but Maya sauntered along the row, tapping the pots like they were supposed to be musical instruments. Maya would be Maya. Phoenix looked around the room and spotted a small window on the outside wall, maybe looking out on the alleyway, but the glass was too hopelessly clouded to tell. Just by the look of the grubby wood frame and rust-dark hinges, Phoenix suspected he couldn't open it if he wanted to. With a few more dull clanking noises and a disappointed pout, Maya left the pots.
Nothing here. Hey, let's go find that apprentice, Nick.
He couldn't argue with that. Letting Maya touch Cherry's equipment was asking for trouble anyway. The nook led to a stairwell with plaster walls aged yellow, and they took the rubber-edged stairs down. The tempting smell of baked goods only intensified as they reached the bottom. Noting doors along the way, including a gleaming silver door with a weird handle, which had to be a huge refrigerator, Phoenix followed Maya until another kitchen opened up ahead. There were more massive ovens and a lanky white-clad cook minding them.
Excuse me.
The cook looked up, startled like he had just hit his head on the ceiling.
I'm sorry, the temperature just...
He smiled sheepishly and adjusted his white cap.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you Cherry's apprentice?
What are you making?
Shuffling closer, the cook clasped his hands in front of his oily, smeared apron.
Baguettes. Just a few loaves, and... yes, I'm Chef LaFlamme's apprentice. My name is Barley Dempster. You can call me Barley, or Dempster.
His smile grew even more sheepish.
I couldn't help overhearing you running into Chef LaFlamme. I didn't mean to be rude.
Barley wasn't the one who needed to worry about manners.
I'm Phoenix Wright. This is my assistant Maya Fey. We're investigating a murder case. Could we ask you a few questions?
Murder? Oh dear.
Barley wiped his hands on the apron and fidgeted some more with his cap, poking mousy hair back under it.
Well, if I can help you, of course. I just can't forget to watch these baguettes. Chef LaFlamme, she...
A sudden intensity came to Barley's gaze.
Please don't think poorly of her. She's... Well, it's been a bad day. And yesterday... Yesterday was a bad day, too.
Yesterday was the day of the murder. Phoenix lifted a careful hand and prodded his communicator's round nub.
I'm here, Phoenix.
It never hurt to make sure. Maya yanked her stare away from some racks of cooling pastries.
Is this place really busy?
He glanced away and shifted.
It's... Well, it comes and goes. A bunch of tourists have been coming by lately, and we're not used to rushes like that. And then LaFlamme worries when it's slow.
From the sound of things, the orchard was either empty or packed at any given time. No happy medium.
Well, she does everything herself. I just did the baking and some of the prep. And dishes. I wash dishes. LaFlamme takes care of the food, the inventory, bookkeeping, serving tables. Well, it's cheaper than hiring anyone. I haven't seen her outside the bistro in... oh, goodness. Years.
He frowned to himself.
I guess anyone would be stressed out if they worked that hard.
Well, it's just what a restaurant does. It's always like that for the owner. It just hasn't been Chef LaFlamme's week. Or her month, actually.
Did Barley honestly mean that to be reassuring?
She wasn't always. Cherry wasn't like this before. I guess it hasn't been her year either.
Phoenix didn't need a Magatama to sense the secrets here, in the way Barley wouldn't meet their eyes anymore.
Can I ask how you know her?
A pause stretched out while Barley contemplated the linoleum. He turned to the ovens, peered inside each one with a creak and a thump, and turned back to fidget miserably with his cap.
You met in the grocery store, right? Your eyes met over a vegetable display, and you both knew you were destined to make really good food.
Did that happen anywhere other than romance movies? Phoenix managed not to roll his eyes, because Barley had brightened faintly at the comment.
Not quite. Well, I met her in culinary school. It was hard. I'm not much good with a knife. I sat in on an advanced pastry arts class, and she was just there to brush up. Cherry's amazing. Her sauces are absolutely world class. I was watching her put the finishing raspberry coulis on a plate, completely concentrating, like that food was the most important thing in the world. And that's when I knew.
Looking up from fiddling with his apron strings, Barley flushed.
Anyway, I convinced her to take me on, as her apprentice. I dropped off culinary school and I've been learning from her ever since.
His sheepish smile crept back.
I'm better off as a baker than a cook.
Smells like it.
She pointed eagerly at a tray full of pastries.
Are those flaky crescent biscuit things? What are they called?
Barley inflated with pride.
Well, they're called croissants. We brown the butter for better flavor. And the other ones are called passion fruit millefeuille. You can try them if you'd like. They're cherry, Chef LaFlamme's recipes. Please tell me if they're alright.
And Phoenix was about to warn him that Maya could make a plague of locusts look like charming house guests when Barley tensed, eyes going wide.
Oh dear, oh heavens, should I have beaten those egg whites longer? Oh dear.
If Phoenix listened closely, he could make out words in Cherry's far-off
Boiling
shrieking.
over. Son of a fishmonger, why do I even bother? Dempster! I said get up here!
Maya wandered back to Phoenix's side, a second croissant in hand.
He seems nice. Kind of tense, though.
She could say that again.
Foxx, do you have any records on these two?
We know them very well. The Orchard Bistro opened 3 years ago, and it's been distracting patrolling agents ever since.
Seriously?
Maybe that alleyway had agents in it all the time, not just when police were there to catch them.
Yes, Miss LaFlamme has never needed direct assistance. She just has extreme variations in her natural rhythm, and that's a guaranteed way to catch a passing agent's attention. Mr. Dempster received agent support 8 months ago while preparing a large food order by himself. Would you like the specs on that?
Specs, from Foxx, would probably be technological gibberish to Phoenix. His brows twisted.
I don't think we'll be needing those, but thanks.
Food service professionals have an overall high stress level, which can make field evaluation difficult. There are criteria for whether a target is handling a problem well on their own, but Miss LaFlamme is pushing those boundaries.
That was a polite way to put it.
Your thoughts, Phoenix?
He wondered if Cherry had her rabies shots.
We need to find out what Cherry saw at the time of the murder. But she won't talk to us. Barley says she serves the tables now.
Maya swallowed more pastry.
She was close enough to sense Stewart's music, maybe?
LaFlamme doesn't have any music sense to my knowledge. Let me confirm that with the other agents. I know exactly who to ask.
If it hasn't been her day, her week, her month, or even her year, do you think she killed Miss Beasley, Nick?
Her horror didn't stop her from licking the butter off her fingers. But he hadn't thought about it in such blunt terms. Did he think Cherry LaFlamme could wield a weapon and kill someone? Maybe over a blow to her chef's pride? Maybe furious and red-blinded with the stress of her work? What exactly had the murder weapon been, anyway?
I don't know. Let's see what we can find here. Maybe Barley can... Maya, can you stop eating those?
He asked me to try them. To see if they're alright. I'll have to try enough to make an informed decision.
Taste testing didn't usually involve eating anyone out of business, to Phoenix's knowledge.
Let's at least...
Phoenix turned and managed to step back as Barley scurried by, apron flapping, wide-eyed, muttering a steady litany of oh dears.
Is something wrong?
Maya was so filled with concern that she had gobbled the last of her croissant. Looking away from the open oven door with a start, maybe he hadn't even noticed the two of them standing there, Barley made a panic-twisted attempt at a smile.
It's... Goodness, I'm sorry. The souffles fell. I didn't open that oven. I promise. It must have... The egg whites... Oh, I'm sorry. It would have turned out if I'd have done it right. Oh, dear heavens. Oh, dear. Chef LaFlamme has taught me better.
Souffles hadn't turned out because an oven had been opened? Phoenix met Maya's gaze. She knew, and her hand rose slow to her mouth.
I didn't think looking would hurt anything.
She watched Barley bustle for a moment before turning tear-shining eyes back to Phoenix.
I didn't know either.
Fine cuisine could be so complicated sometimes.
Barley.
Chili syrup!
Barley shoved an oven door closed, turning to his countertop to look for something that, to his wide-eyed horror, wasn't there.
Oh dear, the chili syrup! I'm sorry. LaFlamme just... Oh, goodness, I still haven't... But where could they be?
No wonder agents were drawn to this bistro. Phoenix would have tried a little jig if he thought it would help.
Chili syrup?
Barley dug through the recipe cards and spoons littering his workspace.
Just a little package of... Oh dear. I could pay for new ones. They're chili peppers. just a little package of dried peppers for the tarts. They're the... Oh, heavens. If we run off her signature... But the shipping time... Oh, I can't do that. Have to... I'd better whip up more egg whites, the soufflés.
And then he bolted towards the storage corridors, and doors began to slam.
Nick,
She gave Phoenix the puppy eyes once more.
can we help him? If it's my fault he got in trouble for those souffle things.
If they wanted any information, Phoenix and Maya would need to sue the pair of the most high-strung people on the planet. Did the universe think this sort of thing was funny?
I guess so. But where do we start?
For a moment, tipping her head to consider, Maya looked a lot like her late sister.
He said the chili peppers he needs are in a little package. Maybe he dropped it somewhere?
And that meant the very important chili peppers could be anywhere.
I hope he didn't drop them into a big pot of anything. Unless it was a dish that's supposed to be spicy, like chili dogs. No, those aren't very fancy. I can't think of anything that's spicy and fancy. Can you?
It was going to be a very long day. To Each a Tempo was written by Pyrasaur. Ace Attorney and Elite Beat agents are owned by Capcom and Inis, respectively. The narrator for this story is Genndy Oda C.O.G. The voice of Phoenix Wright is Lastni. The voice of Maya Fey is Miki. The voice of Agent Foxx is Galen Skibyak. The voice of Cherry LaFlamme is Katie Hiatt. The voice of Barley Dempster is Ronson Harrington. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.